Today's shir is Eile Nishmas Tzvi Dov Ben Chaim Pesach. Moving on up. I had a bad dream the other day, so I'm going to give a shir on Sunday at 2 o'clock. Yochanan. I'm going to give a shir Sunday at 2 o'clock, how to deal with bad dreams. Good. Should we be excited? Should we be upset? So Sunday at 2 o'clock right here, how to deal with bad dreams. Should we be concerned or not? Michael, stay tuned. But this afternoon we're going to speak about current events in Haftorah. There's books in the back there. There's a Birnbaum, and we have an extra art scroll. I think there are 5 art scrolls, right, Yehuda?
Yes.
We got there's Birnbaums in the back. The book of Kings 1, chapter 2. We'll see how it ties in, Kings 1, chapter 2, how it ties in with the Parshat, and of course how it ties in with what? With current events. So the Haftorah in Kings 1, chapter 2, verse 1. The days of David grew near to die. It's exactly what we have in the Parshat. Right, Abraham? It says the same thing about Yaakov. The days of Yaakov drew near to die. VaYechi yimei David lamut. VaYechi yimei Yaakov lamut. So Yaakov calls all of his 12 sons to give them a final what? Blessing. Here David only calls his son Shlomo. Unlike Yaakov, who calls all of his sons, David only calls Shlomo his successor. And he tells him in chapter 1, Kings 1.
Excuse me, what page in the art scroll?
1145 in the art scroll.
1145 in the art scroll, and in the Birnbaum, 350 in the Birnbaum. Thank you. So verse 2. Kings 1, chapter 2, verse 2. Anochi hoylech b'derech kol haaretz. He tells his son, I go all the way of the earth. Don't cry too much. Because death is what? Part of life. I go the way. I go the way of all the earth. V'chazakta liyot la'ish. V'chazakta, this is Shabbos Chazak. Chazak, then is Chazek, Chazak. The Chazakta, strengthen yourself and be a man. What do you mean? He wasn't LGBT. What do you mean, be a man? Ish. Beryl, what is David saying to his son Shlomo? Be strong and be a man. He was a man. He's only 12 years old. He was, Mekimia, he was only 12 years old. He wasn't a man yet. So grow up early. You're going to be the king of Israel even though you're only 12 years old. The Yitalish, be a man even though you're not a man yet. In years, you're only 12 years old. You have to grow up quick, Solomon. And the end of the Haftorah, verse 10. See that, Abraham? Verse 10. VaYishkav David im avotav. David lay with his fathers. VaYikover be'ir David. And he was buried where? Ir David. Har Zion. The Asper Yeshiva. Current events. Right? VaYishkav David im avotav. Beryl, right? VaYikover be'ir David. That's Mount Zion. Our Yeshiva. Baruch Hashem, we have a schus to have King David as our neighbor.
Yes. That's right.
VaYikover be'ir David. Now it says, VaYishkav David im avotav.
He's very quiet too.
It doesn't say that David died. It says he lay with his father. Doesn't say he died, right? Elishema? VaYishkav David im avotav. David lay with his father. Doesn't say that he died. And by father Jacob, it doesn't also say that he died. Because when a tzaddik dies, he doesn't feel like he dies. There's no fear. There's no trepidation. Blast off. Beam me up. So it's amazing. Another connection between the Parshat and the Haftorah. It doesn't say that Yaakov died. And it doesn't say that David died. It just says he lay with his fathers and he was buried be'ir David. Because when a tzaddik dies, he continues to live.
He never dies.
Right? Tzaddik on and on. Now it's amazing, VaYishkav David. That word VaYishkav is used in the Torah, again, only one other context. by sexual intimacy. Isn't that incredible? The word vayishkav in the Chumash is used only two contexts. It's used when a tzaddik dies, and it's used again by sexual intimacy. Says Vayelech Ruven vayishkav et Bilha. Ruven went and he slept with Bilha. In Parshat VaYechi, Mrs. Potiphar says to Yosef, Shichva imi, lay with me. Isn't that bizarre? Yonatan, that in the Chumash, the word vayishkav is used in only two contexts, in sexual intimacy and by dying. Isn't it bizarre?
Yes. Well, it's not bizarre.
No, you don't think it's bizarre? Why?
Well, it's because we are born from this physical contact. So it's the beginning of...
Well, why the same word? Because when a tzaddik dies, it's an erotic experience. The Zohar says, when a tzaddik dies, reunited, and it feels so good. When a tzaddik dies, it's an erotic experience. Chanoch, isn't that mind-boggling? So the word vayishkav in the Chumash is used only on the death of the righteous, and it's used also by the act of intimacy. In no other context in the Chumash. Look at verse 11. The days that David reigned on Israel, how many days did he reign? 40 years. Bechevron, he reigned 7 years, and Yerushalayim occupied Jerusalem. He reigned 33 years.
That's right.
John Balkari, are you getting this? Thomas Carey. Now, the capital of Israel, Sarah, before Jerusalem was Hebron. That's really occupied.
We need that back too.
Yeah, we need that back.
Hebron, D.C. Before there was a Washington, D.C., Yechiel, there was a Hebron, D.C.,
Also Jerusalem.
David's capital.
But Jerusalem is...
That's later. First,
Jerusalem DC, the capital.
but before Jerusalem, D.C., there was Hebron, D.C., before Washington, D.C., Obama, 3,000 years. Before Washington, D.C., there was Hebron, D.C., and Jerusalem, D.C. Wow, current events, Michael. Huh? This is God's response to Kerry and the UN. Hebron was the original capital of Israel. Then David moved it to what? To Yerushalayim. Then he moved it to Yerushalayim. Occupied Jerusalem? Or I don't think it was West Jerusalem. I don't know. What? What do you think? What do you think, Golda? What do you think? What? Yerushalayim and Hebron, D.C., David's capital, 3,000 years before Washington, D.C. So just amazing how the Haftorah always speaks to what? To current events. Now let's take a look at the Parshat and current events of the Parshat VaYechi. Genesis 47. Genesis 47, in the beginning of the Parshat.
Page 269 in the scroll.
Genesis 47, verse 28. VaYechi Yaakov. Yaakov lived. VaYechi is Gematria 34. That's all he lived. He lived 147 years. What do you mean he only lived 17 years? VaYechi is Gematria 34. The best years of our lives, Golden. Remember that movie, The Best Years of Our Lives?
Yes.
From all of his life, he had many tzorot. What were the best years? The first 17 years before Yosef was kidnapped, and the last 17 years when he was reunited with Yosef. So VaYechi, what did he really live? Yechi is Gematria 34. 17 before Joe was kidnapped, and 17 when reunited with Yosef. That was he truly lived, but the rest of his life was filled with pain, suffering. So he says to his son, do me a favor, do a chesed ve'emet with me. Now a chesed you do with a dead person is called chesed shel emet. Because you do a chesed for a living person, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Evie does that with the newspaper editor.
Right, you see that? Headlines. Headlines and then, right? But a chesed for a dead person, that's a chesed shel emet. Because you know he cannot scratch your back. He can't pay you back. That's a chesed shel emet. Right? No payback. don't bury me in Mitzrayim. Rashi says, why? Why? Because Rashi says that when Tchiyat HaMesim comes, the dead people in Borough Park, we're going to have to wait. Tchiyat HaMesim will happen in Eretz Yisrael first. Those people buried outside of Israel, it's going to take a while for their DNA to be collected to swim across the ocean and come here. So why be dead longer than you have to? So therefore, the Rambam bases himself on this pasuk Yechiel and a great merit. If you can't come here alive, at least come here dead. It's much better to come here alive. But if you can't, at least to be buried here, because Tchiyat HaMesim will happen here, and the dead buried outside of Israel, it's going to take a while until God collects all of their DNA. DNA stands for divine natural ability. Okay? Now again, it's amazing how not just the Haftorah Abraham, but the Parshat speaks to what? Current events? Genesis 47:4. Genesis 47:4. So Yaakov is speaking to his son. He's quoting God. God says, I will increase you, make you fruitful. V'natati et ha'oretz hazos. And I will give you all of this land. L'zarach la'achrecha. To your children after you. Achuzat olam.
48.
What does achuzat olam mean? Yonatan, what does achuzat olam mean? Achuzat olam, Genesis 48, verse 4. The end of the verse, Elisheva. I will give you this land after you, achuzat olam. What do they say?
Eternal possession.
An eternal possession. You hear that, UN?
That's right.
And Balkari? Achuzat olam. We're not occupying anybody's land, Avi. You showed this to your father, Avi. The Parsha of the week always speaks to current events.
I'll trump that, Rabbi.
Right? But the trump card is coming in 11 days. We got the trump card. God is playing the trump card.
9 days.
9 days.
Yeah, we're counting down.
9 days. Now, verse 3. Yaakov says to Yosef, El Shaddai nira elai beluz. Yaakov had a dream. God came to him. It was Temple Mount. And Yaakov calls Temple Mount Luz.
Yeah.
Right.
Why is the Temple Mount called Luz? The Luz bone's connected to the neck bone. The neck bone's connected to the head bone. The Talmud tells us that the Luz is the bone in the back of the neck that connects the head to the body, that connects the soul to the body. So Temple Mount, Yochanan, is the Luz of the universe. Just like the Luz bone in the back of the neck connects the soul to the body, Temple Mount is the conduit that connects the heavenly to the earthly. The soul of the universe to the body universe is connected on Temple Mount, and therefore it's called Luz. Therefore it's called Luz. And you put the knot of the tefillin, Masha. The knot of the tefillin goes where? On the Luz bone. On the Luz bone. The bone that connects the body to the soul to the body, the godly to the earthly. The part of God in us, which is the godly soul, is connected to the body through the Luz bone. And therefore, Yonatan, when you put on your tefillin, you put the kesher in the back. The kesher of the tefillin, that's the love knot between God and the Jewish people. That knot can never be broken, because after we die, we become reunited with Him. So that's the semel, the symbol of the love knot, put dafka on the what? On the Luz bone, that connects the godly to the earthly, the tzelem Elohim to the guf. And pretty interesting, right? And then the Torah goes on. The Torah goes on and tells us that the question is, all the years that Yosef HaTzadik was viceroy of Egypt, he knows his father is crying his eyes out. Send his dad an email, an SMS. How long does it take to send a text message from Mitzrayim to Canaan. He's the viceroy of Egypt. A couple of days he could have sent a slave. Daddy, I'm okay. Don't worry about me. Nothing. Nada. Isn't that bizarre? He knows how much his father loves him. His father must be going crazy. Complete silence.
Because of the brothers.
What do you mean because of the brothers?
No, maybe something.
Why?
Maybe
Because
he resented that his mother was buried
Beautiful.
on the side of the road.
beautiful.
And not in...
Mikimia is mechaven to Rashi. Rashi quotes the Midrash that Yaakov is saying to his son, please bury me in Hebron. Now, even though I buried your mother on the side of the road, I didn't take her to Hebron, and I know that you have it in your heart for me. V'yadati sheyesh belibcha alai. I know, my son, that all of these years you resented me. Rashi's quoting the Midrash, and therefore you never contacted me. But you should know that I buried her there, not because I disrespected her, al pi adibur. God commanded me to bury there on the lonely country road, because when the Jews go into exile, the Chorban Bayit Rishon, they're going to pass by that lonely road, Kever Rochel, and she will be mitpalel. And Jeremiah tells us, Koil barama nishma. There's weeping heard on high. Rochel mavakal b'neha. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers her, Yes sacha lepolasech. Vishavu banim lugvolam. The final redemption will come in the schus of what? Rochel Imeinu. So all these years that Yosef never contacted his father, says Rashi, because his father felt that Yosef resented him. You dissed my ma. What is she? You bury her in a potter's grave? And you want me to take you to Hebron? But my dear son, you misjudged me. Kadosh Baruch Hu commanded me to bury her there. Because the final geula and redemption will come not in the schus of the avot, but only Rochel. You ever wonder why Kever Rochel is the most popular kever in Jewish history?
It is.
You ever wonder, even when we couldn't go to Morach Machpelah, Reb Nochem, we could always go to Kever Rochel. Before the 6-day war, we couldn't go to Morach Machpelah. Kever Rochel, the Jews always had access. Please. Always had access. By far, it's the most popular. You want to know why? Why? Because Kever Rochel is a living monument of how far a person has to go to be Malamed Zchus. Malamed Zchut. The Mishnah says, Hevedon kal adam lekaschut. Even though when it seems impossible, did Yosef dream in his right mind that God commanded his father to bury his mother in a lonely country grave? Yosef always thought that what? His father didn't respect his mother enough. He didn't care enough. He misjudged his father. Kever Rochel is a living monument how far you have to go to be dan lekafschus, even your own parent. When it's impossible to figure it out, give the person, especially your parent, the benefit of the doubt. Wow. What? Yosef didn't, and it caused a tragedy. He was estranged from his father all the years when he was viceroy of Egypt, because he didn't give his father the benefit of the doubt. I didn't disrespect your ma. God commanded me to bury her there. In his wildest dreams, Yosef didn't think about that. So Kever Rochel is a living monument how important it is to be dan lekafschus, to give the person the benefit of the doubt. Because if we are dan a person to kafschus, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will what?
Give us.
Dan mi lekafschut. I think it's called boomerang. Boomerang in Hebrew? Yes?
I remember during Oslo, they were giving Kever Rochel away, and all of Israel rose
That's
up.
right. Even the lefties were against it. Even the lefties were against it. Because they sense that's the monument to be makir toiv, to have malamet zchut against all odds. Right? That's right. Couldn't give up Mama Rachel. Right? Couldn't give up Mama Rachel, right? So then the Torah goes on in Genesis 48, Pasuk 20. Genesis 48, 20. Yaakov blessed the grandchildren on that day, repeating. Genesis 48, 20. You have that, Elishema?
Yes.
It says he blessed them on that day. Lamor means to repeat. He blessed them on that day. Was it Monday or Wednesday? Or Tuesday or Friday? Never on a Sunday. What's the Torah telling me? He blessed them on that day, repeating. What do I care what day it was? The Torah is not history. The Torah is God's GPS, God's personal system. So you have to know where to put the commas.
Yeah.
VaYechi, he blessed them, comma, Bayoimahu lemor. Keep repeating to yourself, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Bayoimahu, Bayoimahu. VaYechi, what's the greatest blessing a father can give his children? Live every day, keep repeating to yourself that every day of your life, Sarah, is what? Bayoimahu. It's the special day. And if you live like that, I haven't got time for the pain, haven't got time to be upset or jealous or angry, because today is Bayoimahu. Tomorrow might never come. If every person lived their lives and they keep repeating, Lamor, that today is Bayoimahu, what a wonderful world it would be. No time to be angry, upset, resentful. So before Hallmark cards, 3,700 years before Hallmark, Father Jacob said, Kinderlach, the greatest blessing I can give you is to keep repeating that every day of your life is Bayoimahu. Every day is that special day. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. That's pretty amazing. Wow. Genesis 49, verse 1. Yaakov calls his children together. He says, gather yourself together and I will tell you ba'achrit hayamim. Achrit hayamim. Unkala says, I'll tell you when the end of days are coming. Achrit hayamim. That's a euphemism for the Messiah, for the Mashiach coming. Bereshis Rabbah tells us there are only two people in the history of mankind who knew when the end of days will climax. Yaakov is one, and the other one is Daniel, my brother. Daniel, in chapter 12, the Malach tells him, Satom hadvarim. Stone, what does stone mean? Silence the words. You have the secret. You know, but you're not permitted to spill the bean. So two people in history, Yonatan, Bereshis, Rabbi Yaakov Avinu, and brother Daniel. Remember Daniel, my brother. When the Malach tells him, Satom hadvarim, seal up the words. So Yaakov says, I can't tell you, but I can hint to you. You want to know when Mashiach is coming? Heyosvu, heyofsvu, hikofzu. When you come together right now, when you bury the hatchet, not in each other's back. When you gather together, hikofzu, and you act like Bnei Yaakov, then Mashiach is coming. I can't tell you when, but that's the secret. If you act like a family, like Bnei Yaakov, like one father, one family, that will usher in the Achrit HaYamim. Unfortunately, we're not there yet. Unfortunately, Elisheva, we're not there yet, but that's the secret. The Jewish people can come together, and that will usher in the Achrit HaYamim. So he gives them blessings. Doesn't look like everyone gets a blessing. Reuven, my firstborn, he says, you should have been the Melech. You should have been the high priest, but you blew it. Reuven did a terrible sin with Bilhah. Whatever he did there was not nice. But he did tshuva. He did tshuva. So how come his father rejected his tshuva? Yehuda also sinned. And Yehuda did tshuva. And his tshuva barrel was what? Accepted. He became the melech. Reuven also did tshuva. We know b'mokim shabala tshuva omed that Tzaddik Gomer can't reach there. So why did Yaakov reject Reuven's tshuva and he accepted what? Yehuda's. The answer is he didn't reject Reuven's tshuva. Reuven did tshuva and he became greater. But Reuven showed that he was unstable, impulsive. He can't be the melech. It's not a punishment. In life, you have to recognize your limitations. If Reuven would be the melech, it would destroy him. You're not cut out for it. You have to know your strengths and weaknesses. And that's what Yaakov was telling you. I'm not punishing you. You're still the b'chor, but you don't have what it takes to be the melech. You're too unstable. You're too impulsive. Unlike Yehuda, was deliberate and calm, didn't lose his head, he could be melech. So it's not a punishment. Yaakov is just telling him, you just don't have what it takes to be the king. It will destroy you. Powerful message. He didn't reject his tshuva. Just, you have to face up to who you are. Not everybody can be what? King or high priest. Reuven demonstrated by his impulsiveness that he is not cut out to be high priest or king. But he still remained what? The Bechor. La Yosha Shevit be Yehuda. So he makes Yehuda the Melech. Why is that? In chapter 49, Pasuk 8, Yehuda ati yodyucha checha. Chapter 49, 8, Yehuda, you, your brothers will praise. All the brothers looked to Yehuda for leadership. So Yehuda was elected Melech because halacha lives in the real world. All the brothers gave up hope. Yehuda didn't give up hope. When they found the cup in Benji's sack, it looked like, forget about it. Right? They all wanted to throw in the towel. Yehuda came up with a plan, strategy. I'll take his place. So Yehuda demonstrated to be calm in the face of tragedy. Calm in the face of tragedy. He didn't lose himself like the others. He could be the king.
King material.
He's king material.
Doesn't the Midrash say that he actually confronted Yosef to almost...
Okay, but he did what has to be done. He didn't lose up hope. Right? The other brothers were totally miyayish, but he didn't, and therefore he was chosen to be what? The king. All the brothers looked up to him for leadership, and therefore he became what? The king. And the Melech HaMashiach comes from him. La Yosef Shevit Yehuda at ki yova Shiloh. How do they translate Shiloh? Genesis 49:10. Shiloh. Unkula says Mashiach. Unkula says Shiloh is Mashiach. What do they say? Shiloh. Now Rashi says Shiloh is the name of Mashiach. Shiloh is an acronym. Now acronym means FBI, CIA. Shiloh. Shiloh. Gifts to him. There's a verse in Tehillim 76 that when Mashiach comes, the UN are going to give gifts to him. Tehillim 76, Sarah, says, Yovilu Shai Lamorah. The UN and the EU are going to bring a Shai. Shai means tributes to the Melech HaMashiach to acknowledge that he is what? The leader of, not just of Israel, the leader of the whole world.
I guess as long as they're not cigars or champagne, it's okay.
Right. So Rashi says Shiloh is an acronym of Shiloh, gifts to him, to acknowledge that he is going to be what? As long as they're not cigars and alcohol, right?
Yes.
Or champagne, right? Again, current events. Pink champagne? Shiloh, right? Pretty interesting, huh? And he gives Yehuda a blessing, strange blessing. Genesis 49:12, Elisheva. Eyes, what do they say? Genesis 49:12, Elisheva.
Red-eyed from wine.
What?
Red-eyed from wine.
Red-eyed from wine.
And white tooth from milk.
Red-eyed from wine. What are you saying? A bracha, Yehuda should be a drunk? Get real, Abraham. You can't trust the English. What do they say? Red-eyed from wine?
Yes.
What does that mean? He's going to drink a lot of wine, he'll have bloodshot eyes. What kind of bracha is that?
And white tooth from milk.
And teeth whiter than milk? What is that, a commercial for a dentist?
Where is Dr.
Dr. Abramson. Well,
There you go.
I don't know, Yehuda was a dentist, I don't know.
This is your work.
Right? But you can't trust the English. That's not what it says. Fasten your seatbelts. Chalili anayim miyayin. Eyes more sparkling than wine. Uleven shinayim mechalav. When you show a smile, a toothy smile, it's more precious than buying a friend a milkshake. I love milkshakes. But if someone smiles, but a milkshake in 2 minutes is gone. Someone gives me a toothy smile. That stays with me all day, buddy. Not like a milkshake which is gone in 2 minutes. Gemara Ksuba says, Chalil yanayim miyayin, eyes more sparkling than wine. Uleben shinayim mechalav, and a tooth, a smiley tooth, a toothy smile is more precious than buying someone a milkshake. I had great rabbis, Baruch Hashem. Great rabbis, and all of them, when they looked at you, their eyes sparkled, and they always had a toothy smile. Even when they were sick and old, every one of them. I had the schus to learn with great ones.
You have this, Rabbi.
I had the schus.
Yes.
Whenever they spoke to you, their eyes sparkled. And they couldn't stop smiling, even though they were sick and old and frail. It's not a toothpaste commercial. No. What has it got to do with Yosef Shevet Yehuda? He's making Yehuda the father of the Mashiach. How does it fit in? If you want to bring the Mashiach, smile on your brother now. Give him a shmeichel. Come on, people, smile on your brother now. Who sang that? That's the way to bring the Messiah. But some people they can't smile. They're like constipated. It doesn't cost any money to smile. It doesn't cost any money to smile. Here's Connie, what Yaakov is saying. You want to bring the Shiloh, you want to bring the Mashiach, then smile on a fellow Jew. Give him a shalom aleichem with a shmeichel, with sparkling eyes. Don't look at him sour. That's not the way to bring the Mashiach. That's not the way to bring the Mashiach. Is that incredible? Now, I have a Kabbalah in my family that I come from Shevet Yisachar, or Yisachar. Genesis 49:14. What bracha did my ancestor get? Elisheva. Genesis 49:14. Yisachar chamor gorem. What does that mean? Abraham.
Strong bones.
My grandpa was a strong-boned donkey. Thank you very much. Grandpa, you're a white, strong donkey.
My grandfather.
What? Hey, Grandpa, why is he calling my grandfather a wide-boned donkey?
He rests between the boundaries.
Vayar menucha kitov. Verse 15, Elisheva. What does that mean?
He saw tranquility.
He saw tranquility that is good. Says Rashi, what's tranquility that's good? Eretz Yisrael. There's no menucha in Borough Park. Menucha. True tranquility is not even in Lakewood. True menuchas kitov. Eretz HaTova. Et Oretz ki noima. What's the next verse? The next word. He saw tranquility that it's good, and the land?
The land that it was pleasant.
Pleasant and sweet. He's speaking about what land? Pisgat Zev. Pisgat Zev, I mean Rechavia. Rashi says, he appreciates Eretz Yisrael, the beauty of Israel, the beautiful fruits and veggies. Go to Machne Yehuda. What a beautiful display of fruits, dazzling to the eyes. Yisachar appreciates that. He realizes that it's good. But you have to be stubborn like a donkey not to give up Eretz Yisrael. We have enemies from in with and out. They want to take away Menucha. You have to be stubborn and bear the yoke. The yoke's on me. Yehuda, get it? You have to bear the yoke to fight for Eretz Yisrael, not to give up, not 1 inch. To be stubborn like a chamor. That's the blessing that my grandpa got, Sarah.
That's a good one.
Comes to Eretz Yisrael, you got to fight and be stubborn and bear the yoke to appreciate the menucha of Eretz Yisrael. That's what Father Yaakov is saying. Yes? A donkey is stubborn. So when it comes to Eretz Yisrael, we have to be stubborn. Despite Abu Mamzer, despite John Balkari and the abomination in the UN, we have to be stubborn like a donkey. Current events, it's incredible. You know Bible codes. Current events in the Parshat. Current events in the Parshat. It's just amazing. What? Right? The Torah is saying, when it comes to Israel, appreciate the menucha and the toiv, but you have to be a chamor. You got to bear the yoke, the suffering, and be stubborn like a donkey, not to give up 1 inch of Eretz Yisrael. Amen. It's incredible. Yonatan, no Bible codes. Tell it like it is. Without the Yehuda, you don't need Bible codes. Never fails, Elishev. The Parsha of the week always speaks to what? It just never fails. Now, look at Genesis 49:28. It says all of these are the tribes of Israel. 12, their father spoke to them and he blessed them all. Rashi says it doesn't look like he blessed them all. A lot of them got stinging rebuke. So Rashi wondered, when did he bless them all? Doesn't it say that, Elisheva?
Yes, it does.
He says he blessed them all. So Rashi says, gee, I don't think so. So Rashi says he did bless them all. Not all the blessings are recorded. Even the brothers that got stinging rebuke, he also blessed them, but it's not recorded. Or Chaim was not happy with that teretz. It's like a doichik teretz. How's that doichik teretz? How? That begs the question. If he blessed them all, so how come the ones that got rebuke, their blessing is not stated, even though Rashi claims that what? That they were blessed, but it's not stated. He blessed them all.
When you're told the truth, it's a blessing.
Oh.
That's right.
Says your Chaim HaKadosh, Sarah, you stole my thunder. Says your Chaim HaKadosh.
That's right.
When a parent rebukes a child close to death, that's a bracha. It makes you aware of your responsibility. Own up for your actions. Once you're aware what you did wrong, you can respond by being responsible. Get it? You respond by being responsible. So when a parent, especially close to death, gives rebuke, that's the greatest bracha. Know your weakness. Know what to work on. I'm rebuking you because I love you. I want you to become better. Yaakov knew the unique strength and talents and weakness of each one of his children. Right? Work on your positive and try to eliminate the negative. Reuven just couldn't be the Melech in the Kohen. He didn't have what it takes. Not a punishment. Work on yourself. Take responsibility. Once you take responsibility, then you can respond by correcting. But if you think, I'm okay, you're okay, right? And only a parent can give rebuke. And only close to death.
Only close to death.
Otherwise, we'll go in one ear out the other. So Yaakov held his fire. Rashi said Yaakov held his fire until close to death. Because then his sons will not resent him. It's coming from love. I want you to be better. And I don't have much time left. So Reuben and the others will take it to heart. They won't resent it. So therefore he waited. And like Sarah and Mekimah said, when a parent gives rebuke, it's a bracha. It's a bracha. It points out the character faults and weakness that a person has to work on himself. Otherwise, he'll never become better. Ah, pretty interesting, right? So, he made Yehuda strong as a lion. He made Binyamin like a wolf, Naphtali like a swift running deer. What's the message? The Jewish people are like an army. What do you need 12 tribes for? Every tribe had their own musach, and every tribe had their own flag, their own degel. Can't we all get along? They asked the Chafetz Chaim this question. So a Jew answers a question. How come you need an army, a navy, and an air force, frogmen, engineers, Duvdevani brigade, parrot? Can't we all be infantry?
No.
Jewish people are God's army. There are 12 sections to the army. Reuven section, Levi, Naphtali, Air Force, Marines, frogmen, Coast Guard. Hit me. No. Michael, you were in the infantry. Infantry? We all can't be pilots or artillerymen. Says the Chafetz Chaim, we need 12 sections of the Jewish army. Each has their tafkid, their specialty. And you can't have one without the other. If the Air Force doesn't back up the infantry, infantry loses. Right? So this is the message. Each one of us is unique and special, and yet we're all part of what? Of the Hashem's army.
United we stand, divided we fall.
United we stand, divided we fall. Who sang that? Pretty interesting, right? So when the father dies, the brothers get very, very nervous. The brothers get nervous, and they say something incredible. In Genesis 50, verse 15, the brothers of Yosef see that their father is dead, and they say what, Elisheva? Genesis 50:15. What do they say?
Joseph's brothers perceived that their father was dead, and they said, perhaps Joseph will nurse hatred against us, and then he will surely repay us all the evil that we did to
What do you
him."
mean they saw that their father was... What do you mean they saw? They just came back from the funeral. Rashi is puzzled, Sarah. The brothers of Yosef saw their father is dead. Well, thank you very much. They're just coming back from Marsa Mapela, a huge funeral. They put him in the Marsa Mapela. What do you mean they saw that the father is dead? So Rashi says they recognize that Yosef's behavior towards them is different. Rashi says when Papa was alive, they got an invitation to dinner every night at the king's table. Dinner party every night. When Yaakov died, they noticed a change in Yosef's behavior. No more dinner invitations. Yiddish, Banish. So they said, now it's Miller time. So they attributed sinister motives. All of a sudden, no more dinner invitations to the palace? He must be planning against us. But Shamshul Hirsch says no. The way of the world is, Mekimia, when parents are alive, siblings are more close. And when parents die, they split apart. But they had a guilty conscience. So they attributed sinister motives. But Yosef didn't mean anything by it, Dr. Abramson. It's the way of the world. When parents die, siblings grow apart. Hirsch says that, not me. The Vilna Gaon points out something amazing. Now, Elisheva said, what did they say? Perhaps Yosef will hate us? Well, you have English?
Yeah.
What?
They're saying that perhaps Joseph...
Perhaps. How do you say perhaps in Hebrew? Ulai. Or pen. Rashi's very puzzled. What's your first name again?
Ronnie.
Ronnie. Rashi's very puzzled. God knows Hebrew 101, right? You should have said, ulai, pen, perhaps, maybe Yosef will hate us. Why does the Torah use the word lu? And Rashi says the word lu can also mean halavai. Rashi says the word lu in Chumash also means halavai. Halavai, halavai, halavai. What is that? If only. Says the Vilna Gaon, Sarah, you don't strap in for this one, you'll fall off the chair. Said the Vilna Gaon. Consciously they said, perhaps Yosef will what? Hate us. But subconsciously they said, halavai. Halavai, if only he would hate us. This would justify they're selling him 20, how many years earlier? They had such a guilt. The Vilna Gaon, what a genius. Based on Rashi, lu means perhaps, but most of the time it means if only. Why not use pen or ulai? Said the Vilna Gaon. Consciously they said what? Oh, maybe Yosef will hate us and pay us back for all the evil we did. But subconsciously they said, halavai. If only Joseph will hate us. This will justify, soothe my conscience.
Wow.
What we did to him so many years ago. They were so ridden with guilt and shame. If only Yosef would hate us, then what we did to him is somehow what, Banish? Justified. Genius of the Vilna Gaon. Of why the Torah uses the word lu, which Rashi says means also halavai. If only Yosef would hate us, then justify what we did to him. They still don't get it. They still don't get it. Some people just don't get it. To justify the hatred by selling him, subconsciously they said, halavai, if only he would hate us. How does Yosef calm them down? Genesis 50, verse 20. What does he say to them? Genesis 50, verse 20.
So you intended to be harmed, God intended it for good.
No, the Hebrew says, you guys meant evil on me, but God Chashava l'tova. How do they say in English?
Intended it for good.
Intended it for good. You guys intended it for evil, but God intended it for good. So what? Are they off the hook?
No.
No.
Yes.
You guys meant evil. Kidnap and sale of brothers, capital punishment. But God, so what's the message over here? What's the message? They're not off the hook. What's the message? The message is that any perceived evil that comes on a person like Elenu somehow contains what? Hidden good.
Yes. Yeah.
What a message. Hakol l'tova. Whatever God does, even though sometimes it looks evil, it must contain a hidden good. Sometimes you see it in this world, but most of the time you see it looking back from the perspective of eternity. How what we thought is evil is really good. That's the message, right? They're not being released of their responsibility, but Yosef is teaching us that every evil that comes on a person like Elenu must contain what? A hidden good. A lot of times you don't see it until you...
Too late.
Too late.
No.
Never too late.
Not too late.
Break on through to the other side.
Never
Looking
too late.
back from the perspective of eternity, we'll see how what we thought is evil is taka hakol l'tova. And therefore in Hebrew, the word nega, which means a plague, rearrange the letters, you get oneg. Coinky dinky? Oneg means the light. Every nega lo yaleinu contains a hidden oneg.
Too much oneg is a way.
Right? That's the message, right? What a powerful message. What a powerful message. Yosef dies before the brothers. Why? You read my column in the because he turned his daddy into a mummy. So the Talmud says because he turned his daddy into a mummy, that's one reason why he died before his brothers, even though he was one of the youngest. They all lived to be 120. He died at 110. So he tells them, And Genesis 50, verse 24. Yosef tells his brothers. See that, Elishama?
I'm about to die, but God will surely remember you.
Right? And take up my body with you. Now, normally, when a person's about to die, who does he call to his deathbed? His sons. He had sons and grandsons. Why did he call his brothers? Beryl, very strange. Normally, a person calls his sons and grandsons, children, to his death. Here, he dafke called his brothers. Says Rav Soloveitchik something incredible. What's the message? Who we called? Avram, what's the message for the year 2017? Torah is GPS, says the great Rav Soloveitchik. The great Rav Soloveitchik. Yosef was such a tzaddik. He knew the brothers owed him a tremendous debt. What they did to him and how he repaid them with love and kindness and generosity. He knew how guilty they felt. They couldn't look him in the face. Every time you looked at them, they wanted a hole to crawl in. The guilt was crushing them. He loved them so much. He said, I'm going to give you guys a tikkun. You're going to take my bones out of here, not my sons. You hear the great Rav Soloveitchik? He commanded his brothers, not his sons, to give them the schus, to be metaken their chet, to be zakeh with the chesed shalamet. It would relieve their guilt. They're being maketoif to him. They're doing something for him that he can't do for himself because he's dead. So he dafke doesn't call his sons. What does he call? His brothers. It will relieve their shame and guilt. We're able to pay back Yosef. We're going to live longer than him. We'll be able to pay back. That's how he was concerned for the anguish that his brothers were going through, to be mezakeh them. How do you say that in English? To give them the merit, to be maketoif to him, to somehow to remove the stigma of the shame and guilt by having them carry his body and not the sons. Normally you call your sons to the deathbed.
So Moshe came from which brother?
So Moshe, so now Masha asked, which of the brothers, says the Medrash, was the ringleader? The ringleader to kidnap him, Levi. The Medrash says Levi, he was the instigator to get rid of Brother Joe. He was the, what's the word, rabble rouser? What's the word?
Yeah, that's it.
Right, that's
Leader of the pack.
Insider. Thank you, Connie.
Instigator.
Please hear me well. Levi, whose debt and shame was the greatest? Levi. He was the ringleader. Why did Moshe take Yosef's bones out? Moshe is a grandson of Levi. Levi's debt to Yosef was the greatest. So Moshe took his bones. My grandfather was the insider, the ringleader against Brother Joe. The least I can do is carry his bones. So Yosef's sons didn't take him out. It was his brother, the nephew. Moshe was his nephew, right? I think so, right? Nephew. But Dafke Yosef, Dafke Moshe, says Rav Soloveitchik, because Moshe was a grandson of Levi. And he felt the shame of his grandfather. His grandfather, the ringleader against Yosef, and how Yosef gave him only kindness in return. So Levi felt like 2 cents. So if Levi's grandson, Moshe, does the chesed shel emet, somehow it what? Doesn't even the debt, but it what? Lessens the debt.
Is it also an indication that we innately inherit that kind of guilt, that kind of conscience that all the brothers had? Not that what they did wasn't awful and terrible.
It was awful and
but
terrible.
They didn't get themselves off. Okay, we did, tshuva, we're off the hook. They kept that with them, and so much.
We still have the sinas chinam today?
And the Jewish people.
Don't we have the sinas chinam today?
Yeah, but the guilt, personal conscience,
Right.
may be stronger because we inherit those attributes.
Yes. I told you what Rabbi Wasserman said. Why do we suffer from blood libel? Down to, look, you read Saudi Arabia newspapers. Every Pesach, they still accuse the Jews of using blood to make matzah. He said, and it's so bizarre. A Jewish person, he has a blood spot and the egg throws away the egg. How could this blood libel haunt us? It's so bizarre throughout the centuries. So I wouldn't say this on my own. How did the brothers cover up their despicable crime?
Blood.
By dipping Yosef's coat in blood. A bloody coat to cover up the despicable crime. Said therefore we suffer for the blood libel down to the present age. It ain't over till it's over. Got to get our act together. Stop hating each other, right? Right? Instead of sinat chinam, we should show what? Ahavat chinam. Sinat chinam means hatred for free, right? That's what it means. Hatred for free. I mean, you might have a reason to hate somebody, but you get nothing in return, right? It's chinam. It's like letting someone you don't like live inside your head for free. You hate the guy, right? So he's living inside your head rent-free. How do you evict him? Stop hating him. Stop it. How do you evict him? Stop hating him. Right? All you're getting is a bad hair day. You hate the guy. You're obsessed with him. You feel bad. Stop hating him. Let go. Evict him. Sinat chinam, hatred for free. You get nothing in return. So how do you fix sinat chinam, said Rav Kook? Ahavat chinam. Ahavat chinam, to love every Jew. Because we're all connected. We're all a piece of the rock. Right? We're all a piece of the rock. Deuteronomy 32, God calls himself the rock. I am a rock. Simon and Garfunkel, they learned Deuteronomy 32. Yeah. I am a rock. We're all a piece of the rock. We're all connected. So therefore, makes no sense to hate each other. Makes no sense. You hate another Jew, who are you hating? Yourself. It's called boomerang. Shabbat shalom. Toda rabah.